proportions of the different representatives. We are going to balance the male and the female ratios. And based on the different persons' capacities, we are going to increase the roles played by the female. Currently, we have increased the numbers of the female representatives from 9 to 15. I believe male and female have different fields to play their roles. I also believe the appointment committee is going to consider the different characteristics for the different representatives during our appointment. For the increasing of the 9 female representatives, we think the different backgrounds for the different candidates. Today, we are thinking about all the different representatives in the GOC. And until tomorrow, we can determine 33 out of the 35 female representatives. It is possible for us to increase 10 female representatives in the composition of the representative committee. And for the new different members of the board, just as I have mentioned before, I believe amongst the decisive committee has decided the different members, the name list is also going to be released. Today we are not going to release the name list. I think all of you have understood what I have been mentioned above. This determination to increase the female representatives and female board members is definitely going to balance the gap between the male and female representatives. It is also a representation for the principles of the equality between male and female by side of the Olympic spirit. We have followed the public opinion since our first day. Today's conference is not only about to release our determination to increase the representatives, female representatives, and we also want to select Minister and President Hashimoto to express our support for the balance between male and female. We want to finish this task in short term, as short as possible. I think this is actually the principles and that we have concluded. The second principle that we have been talking about is the appointment for the vice president. So how do we appoint an appropriate vice president to lead us in the different field? we have think about different representatives, and I believe Minister Representative Alakila should be appropriate choice. I think that it still needs our determination in the organizing committee. The third item I'm going to talk with you is about our determinations to promote male and female equality. So inside of the organizing committee, we have double-checked the organizing committee. We have also exchanged our opinions with the stakeholders, IOC, and athletes. So from the beginning of next week, we are going to conduct a special workshop on the equality between male and female. As a part of the organizing committee, we are expecting the opening for this meeting. Of course, through this workshop, we are going to understand better about the equalities between the different genders. With the exchanges of the opinions, of course, first, it comes to us the importance of this matter. As an organizing committee, we should think about where we stand. What does this belief come from? So from the understandings of the organizing committee, of course, it's not only the athlete group, it's also about the sport community. We should think about it twice and came up with different opinions, discussing the different opinions before we draw a conclusion. Equality, gender equality is going to be double-checked across all the different sports communities, and we should also think about the sponsoring companies. Do they have internal gender equality? For the sponsoring company, of course, they have participated in the different times of the Olympic and Paralympics. They have supported different times, but under that background, gender equality should be something they have thought about appropriately, and using this opportunity, we should re-educate the companies about the gender equality. So based on this opinion, we encourage all the sponsor companies to conduct their social activities on the ground of gender equality. For the sport community, there is actually around 120 different sports communities, and if we added them up, there is around 47 different representatives from 47 different prefectures participating in this grand measure. We should also double-check their standards on the gender equality. Gender equality is definitely going to be discussed in the process of the sports. But we basically want to promote the gender equality across the society. So for the purpose of the sports equality, the gender equality in the field of sports, we are going to trigger a social movement to promote the gender equality across all walks of life. Moving forward, of course, organizing committee is one major force to promote the gender equality. after the Olympic Committee, we are definitely going to promote the movement to promote the gender equality. That is to say, the equality between the different genders means that we should think about the gender equalities across all the societies. We have asked the responsible persons from London's Olympic to give us all kinds of guides towards the gender equality. I believe that this is definitely going to become a part of our strengths to promote the gender equality in the Olympic Games and across the society. That is basically my report today. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, President Muto. Now the floor is open up for questions. Please identify yourself before the questions. So please, Mr. or Madam Nagamiki. I am Nagamiki with TBS News. So from your previous report, we heard that you are going to increase the numbers of the female representatives in the organizing committee. So by increasing the representatives of female representatives, what kind of changes is it going to bring to the organizing committee? So how can you change the image of the organizing committee? Can you tell us more about that? So I'm sorry that I cannot tell you who are the female representatives that we are going to increase in the organizing committee today. But in this field, we believe that the participation of the female representatives is going to bring us their expertise. It is also going to bring us the balance between the genders, and they are also going to bring us a lot of gender-based opinions. On the top of that, we are going to exchange our opinions. As a part of the team, they are also going to change their opinions in the sports directors. The new president and the new vice president is going to lead us in the journey of Tokyo 2020. Definitely, we have viewed this team as a gender-balanced team with male participants as well as female participants. We should look at the matter from the perspective of the female representatives. I think this has spread a very important signals to all the participants. We don't have much time left. In such a short time period, we are going to keep up with a conclusion. After several rounds of the internal discussion, I think it's very important for us to keep up and jump to the final conclusion. Thank you very much. I'm Hayashi with Kyoto News. I believe that after hearing from the feedback, we have changed quite swiftly to balance the proportions between male and female. We have widely released the result. So why do you came up with the conclusion one time after another? I think we are standing at this point that we cannot draw the conclusion overnight.
何らかの成果物をですね公表できればと。
Before the official openings of the Olympic Games, there must be all kinds of the ups and downs. I can anticipate that, but currently we are standing on the current ground, facing the current difficulties. But whether are we going to get some of the results is still beyond our determinations. As an organizing committee, we think about the gender equality not only in the organizing committee, we also think about the gender equality in the sports world, in the athletes, in the volunteers world. For us, the very initial purpose of gender equality, I don't think that we have discriminated or fight against the gender equality, but to promote the sports, to get a better echo across the society, we need the feedback. We need to do some of the effort to promote the gender equality. Thank you.
東京新聞の原田です。よろしくお願いします。
Mr. Hala.
今回その35名の
I'm Hala from Tokyo News.
女性の比率を上げるというような方法を取らなかった
You mentioned about that this time we are going to have 35 female representatives and we are going to increase the female representatives. We also have some of the feedbacks. I also heard some of the feedbacks from the society that they are suggesting you to increase the female representatives number to 45 representatives. So how do you respond to this number? Actually, this time we have 35 different female representatives. We are number 2 in the history of Olympics. For the different representatives, we definitely see some of the female representatives tweeted. And it is actually a matter to face with the realities. We want to increase the female participation, female representatives to 40%. This is a challenge, but we are going to fulfill it. And the world, we have different procedures to finish a certain task. As you have pointed out, we are embracing people with different opinions. Of course, you mentioned that the 45 female representatives is a quite ideal number, but simply from the participations of the female representatives, I believe 35 is enough. I believe the 35 female representatives is quite sufficient for us to let them to play their roles in their different fields. I believe that if we are seeing that more and more female representatives demonstrating their power and demonstrating their effort in different fields, we are definitely going to readjust the number according to their demand and their ability. This is the only temporary answer to the previous questions. For the operation matter, definitely we are not only seeing this high efficient operation. I believe there are some of the female representatives who are participating in the organizing committee for the first time. This is not only a result of the COVID-19 outbreak, but this is also our way of doing the things. We are going to witness this increasing ratio to do its work and fulfill its rules.
よろしくお願いいたします。一つ先ほど武藤さんがおっしゃったスポンサーの方々にもいろいろご協力をいただいていけるんじゃないかと。これは何か今具体的にイメージされているものはありますでしょうか。
You mentioned that you needed the effort from sponsors. So can you give us more introduction toward what kind of effort do you need from the sponsors? How will the sponsors demonstrate their respect to gender equality? Do you have some of the real ideas, real measures that we can understand? For the concrete measures or concrete ideas, we have not discussed it yet. But just as you have mentioned, it is not a small matter. We should look at what the sponsor company can do. Definitely, in the different companies, we should view the importance of the gender equality just as the importance of the sustainability. We should view the different companies, double-checking the companies and the performance of their gender equality and sustainability. That is how we are going to do the concrete work. I have another question. For the problems of the gender equality, just as you mentioned, including the histories, definitely between the male and the females, there are some of the gaps. So since the London Olympic in 2012, we have shortened the gap between the male and the females. So once the athletes is coming into our Olympic village, so how do you promote the gender equality for the athletes? So how do you view their standards? Just as you have pointed out, in the word, in the language of the gender, there is definitely there must be some inequality. So I'm not here to discuss about that. I believe the root of the problem is where we have came up for the equality between the gender equality. I heard the word of the gender equality a lot. I think it's quite important. We should think about that, including the gender equality from now on. If there is no questions from the site, we are going to switch the questions. I'm from Everyday News. Definitely, I believe with the new female president come to lead the GOC, we are going to see more participation from female representatives.
一つはやはりアスリート、それからこのジェンダーイクオリティ問題の有識者ですね。それからそれは有識者というと学者とかそういうことばかりではなくてですね、広くそういうことに対して発信
The gender inequality is not only about the social activists. It is also about every participant in our country.
女性の理事として、どういう方がふさわしいかということになれば、
From today,
やはりそのジェンダーにおいて理解をいただく方で、
what kind of person will be appointed as the female representatives? I believe the answer is quite diverse. We are referring the opinions from the different stakeholders.
それではちょっと一旦、チャットの方の質問を取らせていただいて、それで部屋に戻っていきたいと思います。最初の質問、プレスアソシエーションの方の
So we have a question online. So I'm going to read on the question
もしかしたら
online.
のご質問かもしれませんが、
As the organizing
どれ
committee.
ぐらい会場に入れるのかというご質問です。で、これについてはこれまで我々通期一貫して、春に観客の上限に関しては、
So there one question online. It is about what ratio also
の
will
大会
the
の運営状況がどうなっているか
viewers or the
という
audience
ことを鑑み
that
てで
is
すね、
allowed to
意
enter
思決
into
定を
the
していくと
sports
いうこと
ground.
になりますので、今この
The
段階
second
でどれぐら
question
い入
is
れると
that
いう
it
ことを、
is
お伝
approaching
え
the
することはでき
spring.
ません。
So how
ご了
will
承
we
いた
are
だきたいと思い
prepared
ます。
for the Tokyo 2020?
それからですね、ドイツの新聞、パトリックさん、それから日経アジアの今橋さんですね、理事のですね、報酬に関するご質問をいただいているので、ちょっとまとめて、
And we also have questions
そちらから
from
回答
the
いただきたい
Dutch
と思います。新たに増える
It is
12人の
about
理事の方
the
々
different
がどの
rules
くらいの
for
報
the
酬を受け
different
取るか、
representative,
コ
female
スト削減
representatives.
ということも言われ
The
ている中
new
で、
10
報酬
female
の減額等を考
representatives.
えているのかということですね。
Could you give us a more detailed introduction to
すいま
their
せん、ちょっとその報酬の件
responsibility,
お願いいたし
what
ます。
they are doing, and what they are responsible
は
for?
い、理事は定款上無報酬
So
で
please
ご
answer
ざ
the
います。
questions online.
で、日当もですね、通
I
常支
believe
払っ
the
て
different
おりません
representatives
し、交通費も
embraces
支
their
給して
own
おりません。ただ、その遠隔地で
The
理事
different
会を開
representatives
催
is
する
going
と
to work
いう時
until
の
the
交通
end of the
費など
Tokyo
についてはで
2020.
すね、別途
So
考
the
え
last
ること
time
が
we
でき
have
る
held
と、
organizing
支給する
committees
場合も
meeting,
支給
we
する
have
ことも
think
可能
about
ということ
the
であり
different
ます。
measures.
そんなところでよろしいですか。
はい、そちらありがとうございます。それからフランクフルトアルゲマイ
could you
前
please
にの、
repeat the question?
パトリックさん、続いて質問いくつかい
Thank you
た
very
だい
much
てます
for
けれど
your
も、先ほど
answer.
の東京
And
新
we
聞
also
の原
have
田さ
some
ん
of
と
the questions from
同
the
じ
French
趣
media.
旨のご質問でしたので、すでに回答済みというふう
Just
に思い
as
ます。割愛させてい
Mr.
た
Haruda
だ
from
きます。
Tokyo News have mentioned,
それから、TV グローボのカルロスさんのご質問ですが、45人中、結局何人が女性になるんですかというご質問ですが、本日お答えいただける範囲ですいません。
among the 45 different representatives, what
12
is the
人今
final
回新た
final
に
numbers of the
女
females?
性理事を任命することになります。すでに7名の理事がおら
We are
れ
going
ま
to
すので、
reappoint 12 different
45名中ですね、
female representatives.
19名が女性理事になると。これは計算していただきゃすぐ分かるんですけど、だいたい 42% ぐらい
And we
という
then
ことでございま
is
す。
going to appoint 19
はい、ありが
female
とうございます。
representatives. We believe
それ
that
では
by
部屋
adding
に
these two
戻り
number
まし
up,
て、じゃあ
it is
最
going
初
to
ラジオフ
occupy
ランスの
for
方から
47.2%
一番前で
of
す。
the representatives as female representatives. Are there any questions
は
from
い、ラ
the
ジオフランス西
sites?
村です。話題を変えます。
From the
緊急
today's
事態
conference
宣言
room.
が解消されれば、東京五輪の海外関係者は例外的に
So I
入国が
am
認められる
from
と
Radio
言われていま
of
す。
France. My
オリンピック
question
関
is
係者
about
が
the
優
state of the
先されれば
emergency.、
優先的に入国が認められれば、数ヶ月前から
What kind of strategy are you going
入
to
国
apply
でき
when
な
you
い
are
外国
organizing
人
the
の学生
Olympic
ビジネスマン、
games?
あるいは
Are you,
研
which
究者
group
に
of
と
the
ってはとても遺憾
which
なことです。
group of the person are you
東京五
going
輪
to
の組織委員会
prioritize
のそれについ
to
てのご意見を
enter into Japan? Because under the COVID-19 background, you have prohibited the entrance of the Japan for some of the businessmen, for the overseas students. Why do you prioritize the participants for the Olympic Games?
オリンピック関係者だけが入ってこられるということですか。はい。まだですね、ご承知の
So I
通り
believe that you are putting me into the hypothesis that other overseas students and businessmen cannot come to Japan, while the Olympic-related person, the athletes, can come to Japan. This is not
これは国の方針として、
since the announcement of the state of the
外国
emergency.
から人が一定の条件のもとに入って
We are actually sending out the message across the world that we are cleansing us up for the and prepare us better for the Tokyo 2020.
開けるのか、それとも一定期間解除されて
I
も
believe after we open up our door to the participants of the Tokyo 2020, the door for overseas students, the door for businessmen is definitely going to open up. But currently, the concrete matter has not been released yet.
アスリート、それから競技関係者、海外から来る。
We are not only doing the athletes, doing the Olympic for the purpose of the Olympic. We should also think about the relative stakeholders, definitely the athletes, the volunteers, the broadcasting media.
だけのものなのか、それとももうちょっと
We are kindly asked their cooperation, but definitely it's not only limited to this. We believe the overseas students, how will we do with the business exchanging person or the overseas students? But currently, on my position, I cannot understand or I cannot answer your question. But as a country, as we are opening our door for the Olympic, definitely we are not going to shut it up for the other simple groups of the people. This is not logic. Thank you.
日本テレビの佐々木と申します。
So the final,
今日理事会の冒
so
頭で橋本会長も
the last
聖火リレーの新
question
型コロ
went
ナに
to
ついても先日説明したと理事会の冒頭でお
Mr.
話しされてい
Sasaki,
ま
Madam
したけれ
Sasaki.
ども、最近著名人ランナーがスケジュールの都合で事態が相次いでいますが、理事会の中でそういうお話がされたのかどうかと、あと武藤総長のその著名人ランナーでスケジュールの都合で相次いで事態が起きていることについての受け止めをお願いいたします。
So we have mentioned about, could you give us more detailed introduction about the preparation schedule before the Olympic and how do we tackle with the COVID-19 outbreak?
それでどのように受け止めているかということでありますけれど
And
も、
currently we have not came up with a preparational schedule.
聖火リレーにおい
But
て、
for us,
万が一にもそのコロナ感染
if we think
の
about
拡大が起こってはいけない
if there is any outbreak of corona infection,
著名人ランナ
or
ー
we
という
are
ことに
going
なる
to
と、
set up
沿
the
道でですね、
coronavirus
応援する
outbreak
人も
as a
増えるのではない
prerequisite
かと、
in
いわゆ
the
る
preparation
密
for
が
these times of
生じ
Tokyo
るのではないかという
2020.
心
Definitely,
配があ
we are
りま
going
す。
to increase the
そこで
medical
ですね、
forces
す
to
でに
tackle against
発表い
this
たしました
outbreak
ガイド
of
ライ
the
ンでは、著
COVID-19.
名人ランナーについてはですね、
We have
沿道で
issued
応
some
援
of
す
the
る人た
guidelines
ちの数
to
をコントロ
about
ー
how
ル
to
できる
deal with
そう
the
いう
coronavirus.
管理下に
Definitely,
あ
we are
る場
going
所です
to
ね。
reduce or
県なり
cut
市
the
なりが
number
管
for
理
the
している
supporters.
場所で行ってくださいと、それを原則とするというふうに
We are going to separate and dispense the participants in the different places. I kindly ask all of you to help me. Before that, in the designing of the different sports ground, we don't have any special areas to tackle with the outbreak of the COVID-19. But actually this time, we redesigned the game center for the Tokyo 2020. We set up the special areas to deal with any outbreak of COVID-19. We set up a spacious area to separate the different person to let the people to keep their social distance.
感染リスクを抑える、そういうやり方をしてほしいと。
I believe if someone is running, it is not going to cause, he or she is not going to have close contact with other different people. So if there is any outbreak of COVID-19 in the audience seats, definitely we have set it up the special area to deal with COVID-19. We have also enlarged the distance between the different seats. The last question for Mr. Hoshimura. Thank you very much. I am from the Yomei Odo News.
何か議論するですとか、そのうち何人かを事務局に推薦するとかですね、そういう役割を果たしたかどうかということが一つ。で、二つ目は他にも女性理事がおられる中で。So the first question is that you have recommended 12 different female members to the organizing committee. What kind of role are they going to play? Can you tell us what's the reason behind these times readjustment? Gender equality has nothing to do with the selection with the different ministers. I think the representatives are lucky have a quite enriching international sports experience. And
Representative Araki has also been
女性理事の中から
the
は
chairs and
最適任
ministers
であろ
for
う
several different
という
sports
こ
events.
とでありました。
So we have mentioned about the proper ratio proportions of the
これは
female participants.
副会長にどういう人を推すかという一つの判断でございますので、いろんな
For
意
the
見はあるか
vice
と思いま
president,
すけれども、
what kind of people do we
我々は
select
荒
it?
木田さんがいろん
There
な
is a
国際的
variety
経験
of
国内
different.
的経験、それからアスリートの中の
There is actually a quite
立場の上で適任者である
different
というふうに
opinion
判
about
断した次第です。
the selections for the vice president.
はい、総長ありがとうございます。
And
それ
we
では
should
本日の記者会見以上と
give you
さ
a
せていただきます。
conclusion
どうも皆
after
様ありがとうございました。
comprehensive consideration. Thank you very much for participating in today's press release. Thank you very much for your time.
33人です。はい。